president going on Will Kane's show this afternoon, talking about the changes that he is making.
Commander Bovino is supposedly leaving Minneapolis along with some CBP agents. Is this a pullback?
I don't think it's a pullback. It's a little bit of a change. Everybody in this room that has a business, you make little changes. Bovino is very good, but he's a pretty out there kind of a guy. And in some cases, that's good. Maybe it wasn't good here.
So with that, let's bring in our panel. Fox News contributor Mark Thiessen, Leslie Marshall, also a Fox News contributor, and Real Clear Politics White House correspondent Philip Wegman. Okay, Mark, what's your take of today's developments and where this is headed?
Well, I think the president is on the right track right now because he's doing what Tom Homan said from the beginning, which is they want to focus on aliens with criminal records. And Trump has a mandate to remove those people from the country. New York Times poll in January last year, 90% almost, 9 in 10 Americans want to remove every alien with criminal record out of the country. So by focusing on that, he's setting things right. The problem is that the mayor of Minneapolis just tweeted out today after his meeting with Tom Homan, we're not going to cooperate. So if the Trump administration is focusing on those with criminal records and Minneapolis is refusing to cooperate, then they're going to own the crisis going forward.
Yeah, there's a lot of criticism, obviously, Leslie, of the two shootings now, and a lot of people looking frame by frame, and the investigations are underway. You heard the president's comments. We also have these investigations ongoing about this web of efforts on the ground. Fox Digital had this far-left network that helped out Alex Preddy put Alex Preddy in harm's way and then made him a martyr. A coordinated web of encrypted chats, street alerts, and tracking of ICE abductors in a sophisticated database reviewed by Fox News Digital shows that agitators were already mobilized at the scene where 37-year-old Alex Preddy was killed minutes before any shots were fired. The encrypted signal messages obtained by Fox News Digital in real time show that anti-ICE rapid responders were actively tracking, broadcasting, and summoning backup around federal agents outside Glam Doll Donuts on Nicollet Avenue where the shooting happened. There's a lot more anecdotal evidence of some of this, of getting in the middle of ICE operations, something that Tom Homan, I think, is trying to deal with the governor and the mayor about.
I don't think that this would have happened at all, all of these coordinated efforts, if you didn't have things like just today, Brett, you raise your voice, I erase your voice. Video, we can all see it with our own eyes, an ICE agent saying that. We also have individuals out there who are saying they are coming to schools. We have seen children that have been rounded up, American citizens, Purple Heart recipients. This is not the worst of the worst. I'm a Democrat. I want the worst of the worst. And again, I'll say it, what we are seeing is the result of the tactics. When you go by video again today, protesters standing on the sidewalk and just openly being maced, long range weaponry being used for short range within protester sites. You have tear gas just outside a preschool. This is just in the past 24 hours. This has to stop. It does nothing for the betterment of this nation. It does nothing to get the worst of the worst off the streets and deported, which both sides agree on. And it's killing Republicans politically. And
you do concede about the professional effort. You do concede about the professional effort to agitate and try to get at it.
Certainly there are some checks being written, but that is not the majority of the people out there. A lot of people in neighborhoods are just trying to protect their neighbors and just want to get out and make their voices heard because they say enough is enough.
I was just going to say the cause of all this is the sanctuary city policies. If the state of Minnesota and the city of Minneapolis would help Tom Homan get all the criminal aliens, there would be no need for sweeps, there would be no collateral arrests, and there would be no protests. It is the sanctuary city policies that are responsible for this. And then on top of that, once the protests start, you've got professional agitators and the leaders of Minneapolis agitating them as well, pouring gasoline on the fire. So Minneapolis and Minnesota and Governor Walz and Mayor Frey are responsible for all the things that Leslie is complaining about.
All right, Philip, I want to talk about the administration and what this signals. The president saying on Will Kane's show that the Homeland Security Secretary has done a good job. The border is secure and closed in part because of her. But clearly, moving Tom Homan in and Bovino out did suggest something.
It did, certainly. We saw on Saturday and Sunday that Secretary Noem and White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller may have gotten a bit over their skis, because on Monday, the West Wing stepped in and not only said that you have a Second Amendment right when you go to these protests, but they refused to call the gentleman here a domestic terrorist. And you've seen this White House. They're not doing a U-turn, but they are pumping the brakes as they come to this tipping point, because at risk here is if the administration pulls back from Minnesota, then that could potentially supersede the results of the last election, where the majority of Americans voted for a crackdown on illegal immigration. Or it could give that population that is here already hope that they could just wait things out. So the president is shaking up his team. We'll see if Noem stays in her position. The president said that she's safe, but at Real Clear Politics, we can report that there are at least 3 serious and viable individuals who have expressed interest in that job.
Yeah. Mark, this obviously comes on the backdrop as we are in 26 of a midterm election upcoming. Democrats clearly feeling that this is a good issue for them, despite the violence and all that they're condemning and the investigations ongoing. They do politically believe that they're in a good space, which is why they're talking about possibly defunding or not moving forward with funding for DHS, even though ICE is funded through 2029. That said, President Trump's in Iowa today. Politico has Trump's Iowa visit reveals the GOP midterm fight. It's a path that followed last year through Pennsylvania, North Carolina, traveling not just to familiar states, but the specific type of district, ones Trump carried decisively, but House Republicans won by narrower margins. Seems like he's going to be a big part of this fight.
He needs to be, because when he's on the ballot, the Republicans do well. When he's not, they're not. Look, the reality is he inherited one of the worst economic situations of any president since Ronald Reagan recovered from Jimmy Carter. It took more than 12 months for it to be morning in America again.
All right, panel, thanks so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.